I'm sick of this shit. I want nothing to do with them. I thought his parents would want him to do the right thing, but it seems their concern about not wanting to feel uncomfortable and not wanting to get involved in their son's personal matters are overriding that. So fuck 'em.
On August 5, 2023, police searched the home of Erin Patterson, the woman who is now on trial for murder over the deadly mushroom meal. Investigators seized multiple devices, but on one particular mobile phone, they found Facebook messages sent from an account linked to Erin. Messages sent to friends in a group chat.
So Don said they can't adjudicate if they don't know both sides, and Simon won't give his side. So he said all he can ask is that Simon and I get together and pray for the children. This family, I swear to f***ing God.
These messages, along with images, screenshots, and other evidence taken from different devices, were shown to the jury here in Morwell. I'm Brooke Grebert-Craig, and this is The Mushroom Court. I'm once again with my colleague, court reporter Laura Placella.
Hey, Brooke.
It was a busy day in court, wasn't it?
Yes, it was definitely a jam-packed day.
Let's start with Digital Forensic Officer Sharman Fox-Henry. We spoke about him yesterday. He was in court again today, continuing his evidence.
That's right. Our listeners may remember that yesterday he was speaking about a Cooler Master computer that was seized from Erin's house during one of the search warrants, and he spoke about what was found on that device. But today he focused on the phones and a tablet that was seized.
Let's talk about one of the mobile phones first. We heard grabs from a voice actor at the start of the episode that were reading some of the messages that were found on that device.
Yes, that's right. This was a Samsung phone analysed by one of Mr. Fox-Henry's colleagues, and there were a raft of messages that were extracted, and they were all shown to the jury on screens in the courtroom and read out by Crown Prosecutor Jane Warren. As you would have heard at the top of the episode, these are messages from a Facebook group chat that had members including Danielle Barclay and Jenny Hay, who were witnesses who gave evidence at the beginning of this trial. They were some of the friends Erin had made over the internet.
Now, these messages were sent from an account called Erin ErinErin.
Yes, you've got that right. In the prosecution opening, the jury heard that Erin spoke to her online friends under 3 account names. And at the time, the prosecution said these were Erin Patterson, Erin ErinErin, and the one you just mentioned, Brooke, Erin ErinErin. And the messages that were brought up on the screen today were all in relation to that 3rd account name. The messages were sent in early December 2022 and referenced the child support dispute between Erin and Simon. In the messages, Erin ErinErin writes to her friends about Don's response to this ongoing dispute.
Here are some of those messages.
I said to him about 50 times yesterday that I didn't want them to adjudicate. Nobody bloody listens to me. At least I know they're a lost cause. I wonder if they've got any capacity for self-reflection at all. I mean, clearly the fact that Simon refused to talk about personal issues in part stems from the behaviour of his parents and how they operate.
Days later, on December 9, another message was sent.
His mum was horrified I'd claimed child support. Why isn't she horrified her son is such a deadbeat that I had no choice but to claim?
So it's really important to note that these texts were read into the record today, but Mr. Fox-Henry wasn't asked anything about what they meant or anything about their contents. He simply explained that these messages were found on the device and linked to the account name Erin ErinErin. And I will just add that there were other messages today shown to the jury.
Now, Mr. Fox-Henry continued his evidence and he was asked questions around a Samsung tablet seized from Erin's home. The jury were then showed images that were extracted from that device. These images were of a black dehydrator from April 30, 2023, and images of mushrooms on a set of kitchen scales from May 4, 2023. So this was about 2 months before that deadly lunch.
Mr. Fox-Henry explained that these photos were extracted from a Google Photos cache folder. And the dates that you mentioned just then, Brooke, were the last modified dates that were pulled from the tablet. Beyond these photos that were taken of the dehydrator and the kitchen scales, some photos were also extracted from the device that appeared to be screenshots taken of a web browser. The search results in the screenshot were shown to the jury, and there were 4 in total, all referencing cancer. There were 3 relating to ovarian cancer and 1 about lymphoma. One of the screenshots, which had a last modified date of May 10, 2023, had reference to a website called Stage 4 Ovarian Cancer, and the text on the screen read, "Stage 4 ovarian cancer means the cancer has spread to other body organs some distance away from the ovaries, such as the liver or the lungs." Again, Mr. Fox Henry wasn't asked any questions about what these screenshots or these photos meant, simply that they were extracted from this tablet.
And just to remind the listeners, the prosecution alleges Erin falsely claimed to have had cancer to explain why the children were not at that lunch on July 29, while the defence has suggested Erin only told the lunch guests she had a suspected diagnosis of cancer.
We've heard evidence as well from Professor Andrew Burton, who has examined Erin's medical records and confirmed she has never been diagnosed with cancer.
And there was another phone that Mr. Fox Henry spoke about today, wasn't there?
There was. This was another Samsung mobile phone. So there are 2 Samsungs that have been seized in this case. And this phone is being referred to as Phone B. It was the phone that Erin handed to investigators during the search warrant. It was analysed by, again, one of Mr. Fox Henry's colleagues, and he told the court that when it came time to examine the device, they found that 4 factory resets had been conducted. A report was shown to the jury of those factory resets, and it could be seen that they were made on February 12, August 2, August 5, and August 8, 2023. August 5 was the date of the warrant itself, and August 8 was 3 days afterwards, after the phone had already been seized. Mr. Fox Henry told the court that no user data had been extracted from this device.
Now let's move on. The jury heard more about the investigation the City of Monash Council did into mushrooms at Asian grocers. Our listeners will remember that Erin claimed to multiple different medical experts that she bought the dried mushrooms that she used in the beef Wellington dish from an Asian grocer.
The jury heard about this investigation through one of the Monash City Council's environmental health officers. His name was Troy Schwannecht. I think I pronounced that wrong, so I apologise, Troy, so I'm just going to call him by his first name for this little bit of the episode. He explained to the jury that he was tasked with first coming up with a list of all of the Asian grocers in Oakleigh, Clayton and Mount Waverley. These were some of the suburbs Erin had mentioned to these experts you spoke about, Brooke. She said she couldn't remember which suburb the Asian grocer was located, but she said it may have been in one of these 3.
So it was really up to him to attend those premises, take photos of the mushrooms, and then establish a supply chain and understand whether there were any changes to it.
In total, he attended 14 grocers. There were 5 in Oakleigh, 5 in Clayton and 4 in Mount Waverley. And he told the court that across his investigation, he took more than 300 photos, and some of those were shown to the jury today on the screens.
The jury also heard that Erin told officials that she bought mushrooms from a store in a strip shopping centre. She said the mushrooms were in a see-through packet and the label on the packet was white with typing on it. She also said that the mushrooms were either shiitake mushrooms or porcini mushrooms.
So this really helped guide Troy's investigation. He made sure that when he was going to these premises, he was really looking for mushrooms that matched this description. When it came time for him to write up his findings, which were again shown on the screen to the jury, he said that it was only one store in Oakleigh that had repackaged mushrooms. He explained that this particular shop got the mushrooms in bulk and due to the preferences of their customers, put those mushrooms into smaller bags for sale.
And through cross-examination, the jury heard that this was the store where some of the mushrooms were actually taken off the shelves for some time.
This was because of the similarities some of these repackaged mushrooms shared with the information Troy was provided. But the court heard that ultimately he was unable to find any product across these 14 stores that exactly matched the description Erin had provided.
Troy was also cross-examined about something else, wasn't he, Laura?
Yeah, there was one final point that defence barrister Sophie Stafford wanted to make, which was in relation to the fact that Erin had told some officials that the dried mushrooms could have been bought from an Asian grocer in Glen Waverley. But Troy confirmed he was not asked to attend any Asian grocers in Glen Waverley.
Okay, Laura, now we're going to move on to a completely different topic. It's a bit jarring, but the jury was shown a chart of Erin's bowel movements when she was in hospital on July 31, 2023. Now, Laura, this is a bit TMI, isn't it?
Yes, we have heard quite a lot of medical evidence in this case, but things definitely got into the nitty-gritties today.
This evidence came through witness Mariam Sespon, who was a nurse who assisted Erin at Leongatha Hospital on July 31.
This was 2 days after the lunch, and to remind our listeners, Erin had presented at the hospital around 8 o'clock. She discharged herself against medical advice 5 minutes later, but ultimately returned by around 9:50. After she was admitted and brought into a room, Mariam said that she asked Erin to tell her every time she needed to go to the toilet so they could collect these bowel motions and keep a record of them.
And something was mentioned about witches' hats, wasn't it?
Yes, and this was something I'd never heard of before, but another term for the pan they use to collect this matter is actually called a witch's hat. So she explained how the witch's hat is like an inverted triangle. It's placed on the toilet seat to collect the bowel movements for examination by a doctor or nurse.
Now, what were actually found on these charts?
There were 5 bowel movements recorded from 10 a.m. to around 11:50 a.m. just before Erin was taken by ambulance to Monash Medical Centre. The first 3 bowel movements were actually in very close proximity, so 10 a.m., 10:04 and 10:06. And Miss Sespon was tasked with observing these bowel movements and writing a description of them.
Again, this is a bit TMI, but a few of them were described as medium and had the consistency of liquid.
And Miss Sespon recalled to the court that at one stage Erin told her, "It does look a little like a wee, but it is a bowel motion."
And on that note, hopefully we don't have to talk about Erin's bowel movements ever again.
Yes, I hope so too. But just to flag, it is Mr. Fox Henry who is set again to take the stand tomorrow for his 3rd day of evidence.
We'll be back tomorrow, but in the meantime, go to themushroomcook.com.au for more.